Hey, you're listening to the Intentional Documentary Podcast. So glad to have you. Around here, I'm gushing over the stories behind the pictures that we freaking love of our own lives. You know, the ones we hold as high value and iconic, because this is where photography meets real life. I'm your host, Marie Moss, and I believe that the best way to approach your photography is through your lens, your way. Through insightful conversations with photographers, I'll explore preserving life with your camera and using what lights you up to grow your brand. Let's get started. Hey there, welcome to episode 20 of the Intentional Documentary Podcast. Yay, another milestone, another 10 episodes in iTunes or wherever else you're listening to. Did you know that I almost had a co-host? I did. I listened to my first few episodes way back in April 2017, and I thought, man, I am boring. I think I would drown myself out. So I wanted a co-host to breathe some life into my serious, all business side. And immediately I thought of Stacey Ilyse. Our paths crossed back in early 2016 when she was a student of Mastery Moment Seekers. This was when I ran the program live for 12 weeks. So basically, you could buy a seat in Mastery Moment Seekers where you would get 12 weeks of small group calls with me. And there was usually 6 to 8 photographers on these calls. And on each call, I would speak to each person. It wasn't, hey, talk if you have something to say, but I would actually have a conversation with each person. So I got to know Stacey and the rest of my students, of course, really well. Well, Stacey came across as this tenacious yet skeptical person. She asked a lot of questions and was not afraid to challenge me, like, are you sure because blah, 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 blah. And she'd give me like her perspective. And I love when students are like that and they don't just take your word point blank and run with it, but they ask you to go deeper because it makes you as the teacher look at your thoughts from a new perspective, and overall you become a better teacher. So thank you for that, Stacey. And it just, that memory made me think she would be really good to have as an interviewer when we are having conversations with other photographers and other people that we want to have on the show. She would probably ask some really awesome questions. So not to mention, the woman has a delightfully witty and fun personality. I love that she's kind of with me in this photograph freely mission as well. Your lens, your way. She's not about to box you into some sort of label. And Stacey's work is an excellent representation of how doing whatever the hell you want can make your work just amazing. And that's just being a photographer, not trying to cross the T's and dot the I's to be a type of photographer. So I'm really pumped for you to learn from Stacey today. So, and long story short, on the co-host thing, I had asked her, she said yes, we recorded a few episodes and then life happened and we both kind of just kept pushing the podcast off. I started to avoid it after a while and then finally got brave enough and was like, do you still want to do this thing with me? I mean, 6 months pretty much had passed at that point and we decided to just not move forward together in this. And no hard feelings there, of course. And she's also jumped into another part of her life advocating for essential oils, something I also share a passion for and love. So anyway, it's all good there. But all that to say, this episode is long overdue. We recorded this Meet My Co-Host episode in, I think it was the end of the summer 2017. And I loved so many nuggets that I had to keep it and create a mini mag for you. Because like I said, her work is nothing short of inspiring. So right now, text the number 44222 with the code 020TREAT or visit fearlessandframed.com/020 to get it and follow along with the images, get all the links, etc. And yeah, do that. In this episode, we cover the bond of sisterhood and how that fuels her. Have you seen her work? Her work of her girls, I mean, you can spot it a mile away. It's so distinct and so beautiful, and she shares how that bond fuels her. She shares how her 365 has affected her beyond just technical growth, but what it's like really done internally, and then connecting with your subjects while still documenting. There's a lot of conversations around, oh my gosh, am I allowed to flip on the lights? Am I allowed to ask my subject to, do that again? Am I still a documentary photographer? And it's just, I love listening to what Stacey has to say about all of that stuff. And then we talk about connecting with potential clients through personal work. And then we get into a little bit of her class, Breaking the Glass Ceiling, with one lesson she finds herself teaching often. So maybe this is a good one for you to listen to as well. And then, as always, we wrap up with an iconic photo. So enjoy the story. Stacey, I want to know from you, and I think that our listeners want to know, what are you all about as a photographer? Now, given the fact that I believe that we all evolve and grow as artists, so this could definitely change. But right now, today, what are you all about? Why do you shoot? What excites you? What lights you up? What does photography really give to you on an internal level?
Well, I've always been a photographer. I don't know, that sounds kind of weird, a little cliche maybe, but, I've always been the person that had a camera in hand, ever since high school. So I've always and my mom actually used to have a dark room, and, I learned on film using her camera. So I think it's just kind of in me to be shooting and, taking pictures. But right now in my journey, excuse me, in my journey, the thing that drives me the most and I'm most passionate about is documenting, excuse me, my girls, my family, my life, the people that are important to us. And whether it be close family, friends, I like to call them family, or my mom or my in-laws, my husband and I. It's just, and also I'm an only child, so I'm really intrigued and drawn to the relationship of my two girls as sisters. I've always wished that I had a sister, not as a little girl, but more so as an adult. Yeah. To have that bond of sisters, and I'm sure brother and sister are great too, but being a woman and now having two little girls, that sisterhood relationship really intrigues me, and I love capturing their relationship as it grows and changes, the ups and downs, and how both of them relate to Morgan and I, and so on. So, and even how they relate to our dogs. It's just amazing to see their personalities and, day to day, what they do and what their likes and dislikes. Mm-hmm. So that's really what, is, my driving force for taking pictures recently. And also combined with that, a lot of it has to do with really trying to fine tune my craft and just get really great at, using light and available light, and remembering that life doesn't happen just outside, that mm-hmm. life also happens inside. So I had, and I live in a cold weather state that gets cold half the year. So I picked up this project on December 23rd, middle of the winter, and I had to really kind of, fine tune my eye to get better at seeing the light indoors. And I think that has made me a significantly stronger shooter. Mm-hmm. So I find that really fun and interesting and challenging to keep all of that interesting for myself, for my project, for my family, and so on. So that's kind of, long-winded answer.
Yeah. So knowing you and that you're not a big fan of these long, cold winter months, something that we definitely have in common. Me being currently in Michigan, which is also a cold weather state, though I'm preparing for a move to South Carolina, to sunny South Carolina. What do you think the pictures do for your spirit during that time? The act of shooting, but also the photos that you create during these cold months. Do you think that it helps you? Does it help lighten the weight of the cold, dreary, gray, dark months?
Yeah, that's interesting you say that, because I definitely feel that picking up this project in the winter and making a point to push through when a lot of times, the holidays make everybody crazy, or catching up on work, or just feeling kind of down because it is dark and dreary, that it gave me a purpose, like a daily goal to work towards. And I really don't like going out in the snow. So it was kind of fun, like here or there. When it did snow, I made a point to go outside and engage with my girls when it was snowing or cold out, it gave me a good reason to let them play outside in the snow when I would normally just rush them indoors because I don't want to be out there. And I think that it, especially for my older one who loves the snow, my little one could like run indoors with me. But my older one, she loves the snow. So I think that it was fun for her to have me out there with her. And she and I really connect a lot through photography. It's, she loves that I ask her to be in my pictures or to do things, or with me or for the picture or to try something new. So I think that was really fun for her. I'd be like, Remy, let me see how big you can throw the snow. And that would be like super exciting for her. So it did kind of bring us closer together and have something that we found that we related on. Cause she's really different than I am. So like, I'm like, lady, I'm going to roll down the windows and I don't care if your hair gets messed up, because she's like the perfect, everything has to look nice and be cute and all that at 5, she's got her own style. And I'm like the stick my head out the windows, kind of like windblown hair kind of girl. So,
go ahead.
Oh no. So I'm just going to say photography just brings us closer. So I think that in the cold months, like it definitely gave me a purpose and it kind of gave me a way to connect with my girls a lot of the time when otherwise I just would want to watch TV and go to sleep.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for sure.
I love that perspective. And what I really want to put a spotlight on when you said, hey, Remy, I want to see how big you can throw the snow and how she's excited about that. You connect with her on the moment, not, hey, I want to make a picture of you doing this. Like, yes. I love how you frame it what I'm assuming you probably do that a lot because you are killer at both just engaging with your subjects, but also just organically watching moments happen and snapping those up too. But I love the way that you worded that. And I think that that's like really important for people to hear, because it's not all about, hey, let me go photograph you doing this, because I can envision little eye rolls of our children, but the way that you framed that, it made it really fun for her. And I can see why she would welcome the camera.
Yeah. I mean, even when we're sitting at the kitchen table, yes, my girls are very comfortable in front of the camera. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to pretend like they give me a hard time. I mean, Luca, my little one, sometimes yes, because she's 3. But for the most part, they're very comfortable. They kind of see it as an extension of me. But even if I'm sitting with them at the kitchen table and the camera's next to me, I still am engaging with them, especially when if I see like the light looks great or that they're being really cute or something, I'll purposely sit there and engage with them and talk to them. I make sure that they know that I'm there, that I'm still their mom first and photographer second. And I personally don't think that there's anything wrong with talking to your kids or talking to your subjects if it's, for a photo shoot.
Yeah.
And getting them to do not what you want them to do, because you can't control little people, but but if you talk with them in a manner that makes them feel like they're included, they're more likely to do the things that you'd hope for than if you just sit back and think about it in your head. Like I always would tell my brides back when I used to shoot weddings, if there's somebody that you want me to take a photograph of, you have to tell me, because I can't read your mind. And it's the same thing even for ourselves. Like if we want something to happen and it's just not happening on its own, but it could happen organically in a way, even if you help it along, then help it along. Like what's the harm in that if it's going to be something that you're going to enjoy seeing later on, or a memory that you want to remember later on. I mean, my girls love this double swing that we have outside. It's like a big circular disc, and they love to sit on it together. And I really thought it'd be great to get a picture of them where they're side by side on the swing. But they're never going to sit there and do that on their own, because that's not just naturally how they might want to sit on the swing. So I told them, hey, why don't we try sitting like this on the swing, and mommy will push you. And then And then they thought it was so fun because I got down on the ground and I was laying under them and I was like playing games with them as I was taking pictures. And they thought it was hilarious to like not hit me in the face. And, but that wouldn't have happened on its own because they're little. They don't think, beyond what's in front of them sometimes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing wrong with helping a situation along if it will create for a great image,
Yeah. And still like their laughter and their emotions, all of that is 100% organic. Like that's designed or whatever. I love that. No. So I know that you obviously like you share this value with me in preserving and documenting like what's going on in our everyday. How do you think that you bring that into your client business?
I think that the way that I bring that into my client business is actually something that I also talk about a lot, even with the course that I created, the Breaking the Glass Ceiling. It's that I use my personal work to show my clients that it's important for them to have that too, and that those moments are relatable to them. So I actually had a woman who booked me based solely on seeing my personal work. And she has 2 girls, even if she had 2 boys. I mean, kids do all the same thing, regardless of whether or not they're girls or boys. But she kept seeing photos of my girls doing things that her girls would do similarly. And she just was like, I need that. I need that too. Because if you can do that of your kids, why can't you do that of my kids? And I certainly can't do that with my iPhone. So she 100%, she told me, she's like, I'm doing a session with you because I want pictures that you take of Remy and Luca for my girls and for my family. So I feel like using my own personal work that I create for myself has shown people that it's okay to have pictures in your pajamas without your bra on, laying in bed, or that, a tissue next to your pillow is not going to make or break the image because they can see it in my pictures. So I make it okay for them. And I, and I don't really outwardly, say over and over again that, you need to have pictures like mine. But I think just because I'm never out of sight, out of mind, that they see that that's okay. That life is okay, even if someone is throwing a tantrum, to take a picture of it and remember it. So that's kind of my, I help them along just by making it okay to take pictures and share those types of memories, of my life. I make it okay for them to want it for theirs.
Exactly. You're not trying to convince them of something that they don't want. You're showing them a whole new perspective by leading through example.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So what about boundaries? Do you think that there are any boundaries that you would like to break through, or any fears you have around shooting and photography that you feel like are things that, like I said, you want to break through?
I don't know. I might have to come back to this one. Is there anything that I think that I want to break through? In my own immediate family, no, because I don't really care. I'm not really worried. I mean, would I maybe like to take pictures that I don't think I could share online, just because, I don't think that children should be 100% naked on Facebook, but, like just other parts of my life that are not necessarily social media okay, that might be something. But, that's just my own personal kind of project or, goal. I mean, I'm not really afraid of street photography or, getting in people's faces if I needed to. But, I mean, I just kind of go for it. If I'm, no, I don't really have a ton for my own personal work. For a client, I would love for them to just be comfortable with me, 100% being in their space. But I also do understand and appreciate boundaries, and people are not always comfortable, like taking off their shirt if somebody else is in the room, or their kid being naked in front of the camera. I respect that, but I would love for somebody to really truly be comfortable with it and be okay with it. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen, because everybody is entitled to their own privacy.
Right. Yeah.
But yes, I feel like you just have to go with the flow. And in terms of conquering, breaking down boundaries and things like that, I just push myself to do it. Like I've always wanted to do underwater photography. And so I said, screw it, I'm getting a underwater housing and I'm doing it this year, and while it's taken me half the summer to start to edit them because I felt a little stunted with that, I'm conquering it. I'm saying, you know what? I want these to look kick-ass. Like everybody else is doing it. Why can't I? Mm-hmm. So I'm making it a focus, and same thing with using my lens baby. I wanted to feel confident in it and to continue to grow. So I just put it on every day and I use it and I, make it a goal. I carry a lot of shit with me.
You have, I was just going to say, you have this really wide range of skills. And for those of you listening, if you haven't checked out Stacey's work, you really should. The girl, she's saying how she's just learning this underwater stuff. She is amazing at it. She just created, I just saw over the weekend, a film that she created with her camera in her underwater housing with her family that was brilliant. And it seems like you take on these things and they come fairly easily to you. Like at least that's what it looks like from the outside. You make everything look really easy. So Stacey just rocks at, like I was saying before, she knows how to engage with whoever she's shooting to just help these organic moments unfold on their own that are amazing. She can just observe and really quickly photograph an organic moment that's happening. She rocks with underwater work.
I'm getting there. I'm going to master it.
And she creates these films that are so cute. My favorite one, she knows what I'm going to say because I always bring it up. And she interviewed one of her daughters for her birthday. And so it's like she carries this really great balance between a whole bunch of technical skills, but also at the core of all of her work, there really is her heart there. And you can see like how it's a mixture of this like passion for preserving memories, but also for making like just really, really great art. So Stacey, what do you think in all of just the technical explorations that you're doing? Also, on top of that, she's also started mentoring other photographers and has a really cool workshop called Breaking Through the Glass Ceiling. What right now are you working on that you are really, what's lighting you up? And it might not be one thing, it might be multiple things.
Definitely right now, what's lighting me up is my workshop, my Breaking the Glass Ceiling, and excuse me, and kind of expanding on that with like mentoring. 100%. Like I absolutely love seeing these people that are taking my course grow and be inspired and feel like the things that I'm saying to them and the advice that I give them has been helping them and shaping their journey in photography, whether it's business or personal or both. So that's like really awesome. Like one of the students said to me, I guess like I either wrote something or maybe I did like a little live video. And she was like, I love how you just managed to say something and it makes sense for me. And that makes me feel really like gives me the warm and fuzzies that like it makes her feel like she can move forward and create something beautiful based on something that I was able to teach her and tell her and just, give my thoughts on. So I really love doing this. And it's 100% like the direction that I'm going to be moving towards. I'll never stop shooting for clients on some level because I think that I have to shoot for clients to be able to teach other photographers the knowledge that I have. If I stop shooting for other people, then I'll become stagnant in that and I can't give good advice and advice that's current if I'm not currently shooting for clients. But I absolutely love inspiring other photographers and teaching them and helping them in their journey, whether it be business related or, inspirational with art and stuff. So so that's kind of where I'm at.
What exactly is your workshop about? Like who is it for? What's it going to do for them?
The workshop is for photographers that are anywhere in their journey. They do need to have an understanding of how to use their camera in manual mode and be shooting for, at least a year or something like that. They can't just be like picking up their camera and hoping that I'm going to teach them how to, their ISO. That is something totally different, as you know, because you also have a workshop for that kind of stuff that you offer to photographers. But this is really for people that are kind of feeling stagnant in their personal journey and in their personal projects and are in a rut in kind of their artistic life, and they need something to kind of help them see past that. So for example, one of the first assignment is knowing your light. And that really means to take another glance around your home, because it's all about your interior light, and look at it again with new eyes and in a different way, and maybe turn lights on or turn lights off, or look at your daughter's room at 5 p.m, but then look at it again at 5 a.m. and see how the light is different and how you can use it to create an image that maybe you wouldn't have before. I'm also a really big proponent of self-portrait. So I do, tell people, put yourself in the frame just to change it up. Yeah. So the class, talks about finding your light in your home and maybe using light in an abstract way. So a lot of people are so afraid of light, artificial light, like refrigerator light or lamp light or just even overhead light. They're all afraid of it. All they want to do is shoot outside.
I hear that all the time. That's such a big question. Like, how do you shoot indoors without it looking crappy?
Well, I mean, you can't really, change the fact that a light might have a yellow tinge to it, but if the moment is still there, don't let it stop you. Go with it. Absolutely. So I kind of encourage that in this course is, what? If your kid opens the refrigerator and it looks kind of like that cool scene from E.T. where he opens the door and he's silhouetted with the light behind him, then say, can you open the refrigerator again? I thought they looked really cool, and try it. What's it going to hurt? Like if it doesn't work out, then you just delete the picture. Yeah. But, so yeah. So it's a lot of that. It's a lot of just pushing yourself to, and also it's a lot of emotive storytelling and how to make your images tell a story and how also making it okay that every photo does not need to speak to everybody. That if it's one person, then that's enough. Like if one person connects with your photo, then you've done your job. Yeah. Whether it be your kid is connecting to that image because it's them or it's mommy and daddy, or, it's some random person that you friended 5 years ago on Facebook. Like if somebody connects with your work on some level, then you've done your job as an artist. Yeah. And it's reminding people of that. So that's really hard for people because photographers, especially working ones, want everybody to love every photo that they make. And that's just not realistic because not everybody is going to love everything you do all the time. And that's okay. So
I think what you're really having photographers do is just kind of push the pause button. And first of all, I love the title Breaking Through the Glass Ceiling, because I think that glass ceiling it could be just that stagnant just feeling of I've shot all this before, I'm tired of it. And you're really helping them just push pause and look at their worldview in a different direction. But also I love what you just said, making an image that only one person connects to. And this is very Marie-y, but I'm they can make an image that only speaks to themselves. Give themselves, you're giving them permission to do that, because I feel and I've heard this just so much in our community that people have been scared to post in our Facebook group because they're afraid that nobody's going to like their work. And I'm like, who cares if you really like it? I mean, it's one thing if you're trying to go out for awards and you want to create this, what is the word that I'm looking for? Authority of being this photographer that's looked to. That's one thing, but there is no shame in just creating work that speaks to you for one reason or another. And I really love what you said about even if it just connects with your kid, because this is such a really amazing way. And I think in your class, I'm sure it does this for these people too, is it's a way to remind them of the purpose of these photos and that it's not just for creating work for the world. It's you can create an image that connects with your kid. And I'm sure that you read, maybe you didn't, did you read Michelle McKay's blog post on printing photos and hanging them on their walls? And what the line that was in there that really stuck out to me was, and I think that, I don't remember who it was. I want to say the Huffington Post, or so, I don't think it was that. I think it was a big mom blog or something republished this article because it was so great. And those of you listening, I'll post it in the show notes so you can see the article I'm talking about. But she had mentioned how the photos that she creates, putting them on her walls, it's a way to let her kids know their importance and their role in the family. So
Totally.
I think that what you're doing in this class, and I haven't taken it, but just from the sounds, like you're really kind of allowing photographers to reframe what they're doing and why they're doing it, because we get into this robotic state, I think.
Yes. And I think that a lot of classes, I mean, I can't speak for sure. I haven't taken every workshop out there, but I do know that one of my students mentioned to me that, she's like, oh, I suggested the workshop to somebody else, and we met through one of our other classes together. And that class was great and all, but all it taught me to do is to take pretty pictures.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I've been doing. I've been taking pretty pictures. Now through your class, I'm taking photos and creating images that are meaningful to me. And she's not a professional photographer. I don't think she has any intention to become one. She just loves shooting, and she wants to document her 2 boys and her life. And so, it was interesting. Part of the class, everybody submits, about 10 photos, 15 photos for a portfolio review, and I critique them all. And one of the things that I noticed the most was that everybody steps back and is like paparazzi, like hiding in the bushes. And I'm like, that's not life. Like, you're not hiding in the bushes. Like, be in life, like be part of life, and make that part of your images and your work. And then it will become meaningful to your family, if that's who you're shooting it for, because it's for personal gain. Then you'll remember that moment more genuinely than if you were just hiding in the bushes because you wanted to try to take a pretty picture of whatever the purpose was. So that was really nice to hear, and nice to know that the class is not about making pretty pictures. Yes, you want to make nice pictures and have them be, quality and emotive, and the lighting look nice and all that kind of stuff. But it's how you use light to create images that are also meaningful as well. There's a lot that goes into the class, and it's really been awesome. And I've seen such tremendous growth from the students. It's just really, really cool to see. Another student, she was brand new. She's just starting her business. And every image that she posted initially was like a one-off portrait of 1 or 2 of her kids. Like, you couldn't tell what was going on or who else might be there, or anything like that. And I said, you need to pull back. You need to see the whole scene for what it is, because 1 or 2 portraits are important, because that kind of, gives the viewer an idea of where that person is in their life, visually, and like how old they are, and the wrinkles under their eyes or the crinkle of their nose or things like that. But that does not tell you who they are and what they're doing in that moment. And since one image was like her son sitting on a countertop doing something, and I'm like, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know if daddy's standing right next to him. I don't know what's going on. I say, pull back. If you're worried about him falling, okay, I get it. But he's old enough to know not to jump off the counter. Pull back, get the whole scene. And then one of her final images she shared was one of him in the kitchen on the counter doing his thing. And she's like, if I had just taken that close up, I would have never caught the little moment of his foot like sticking out in the way that it always does when he's up on the counter, digging into something that I've given him. And because I pulled back and I got the scene, I got that moment, and I'm able to now remember that he always did that as a little boy.
Oh, that's so cool.
Like, that's the point. That's the point of this type of work, like, yes, you might have put him on the counter to for whatever the reason and took the picture, but you didn't tell him to do that with his foot.
Absolutely.
He did that all on his own. So so that's why
documented a living memory. I love that.
Exactly. So that's a bit about the class and where I'm at and what, is really exciting to me right now. And I love, teaching and mentoring and helping people grow in their business and make sure that they're on the right path, whatever their path is. So, yeah.
I love that. I need to take your class at some point.
You should.
It sounds so freaking cool. So you'll have to let me know. And we will link, just so you guys know who are listening, in the show notes and in Stacy's mini mag, we will link directly to her class so you guys can check it out. And hopefully I'll have some fall dates or something for when this podcast comes out so you guys can check it out and enroll. And I might be a student with you. Right before we started recording, I asked Stacey what an iconic image, I wanted her to share one of her iconic images with us. So you guys, again, will be able to see it in her mini mag. If you go to fearlessandframed.com/intentional documentary podcast, you'll see all of the show notes for all of the episodes, and you navigate to this episode. I don't know what episode number it's going to be quite yet. And then just download the mini mag and you'll see the image that we're talking about. And the image is of Stacey and her girls in bed. And I'm going to let you, Stacey, just explain the image a little bit more. I'd love to know why it is so iconic to you. Like, what exactly does it represent? And then I've been dying to know exactly how this picture was made with the bird's eye view of the camera. Big picture, or is
yes? So I'll start with the house because everybody asks me about it. And in this case, I did use my human tripod named Morgan to do it. But with that being said, the advice that I have to give on asking a human tripod to take a photo for you, especially one that wants to be creative in their own right while doing so, is to tell them not to. But beforehand, before I had him take that shot, I actually stood up on the bed myself and kind of framed it using him as a subject. So I actually do have a picture of him sleeping. He wasn't being cute with our girls. I woke him up to take this picture. I was like, get up before they move, get up. But, so I framed the shot, and kind of had all my settings set up and decided that I wanted the shot wide. And I usually ask him, because he loves to like zoom in and like be creative. And I'm like, please just shoot it wide, because if nothing else, I can crop it. So I said to him, shoot it wide, stand over us like this, take a whole bunch. Like, okay, don't, and I no joke, I told him exactly what I want, as if he was a tripod. I told him what to do. Thankfully, it worked out. And I also shot it so that way I almost always shoot everything at between 4.0 and 5.6. I don't really care about the creamy bokeh stuff, whatever it is. Whatever. It's more important for me to capture both of my children or whoever my subjects are in focus. So I prefer to shoot at either 4.0 or 5.6. So it was easy for him to get us all in focus. It would be really hard for him to screw that up. So yes, so that was that. And the picture, I guess, is iconic to me because it really just shows motherhood and how, you're like, these moments are fleeting. Like, already my girls are totally different than when I took that picture. Yes, they still love to snuggle with me, but they probably fight a little bit more now than they did, half a year ago. It just feels very honest and quiet at the same time, and loving. And they totally fight now much more. But
it's like a light.
But so it feels like, it's such a. I'm like, what the hell, right? Like, where did this come from? Yeah. So, but I think that it just shows like the quiet side of motherhood, like the tender moments, and I think that people connect with it for that reason. And yes, I mean, I can't lie, everything just kind of came together perfectly, and like their expressions and all that stuff, they just kind of happened. But it's also a very typical place for us. every morning, whether I like it or not, they both come into my room and into our bed and snuggle and want to watch a show. And they always fight who is going to be next to me. Mm-hmm. So they decided that they have to flank me on either side so I cannot move. Mm-hmm. And watch dueling iPads because they won't sit next to each other. So it's really kind of annoying. But anyway, so this was one of those mornings where I told them they couldn't watch the iPad, mm-hmm. and they had to snuggle with me. So that was kind of, it's a very typical moment in our house for them to be with me in bed. They totally don't even like to go near Morgan. They're like, he smells, he's a boy. And their new thing is, Daddy's stinky in the morning. We don't want to be near him. So I'm like, okay, Morgan's going to kill me. I just said that. But anyway, so it's just, they're just little girls. Like they want their mommy. And, and like the dogs all come on the bed. Everybody has to be with me. Like my joking phrase is, everybody loves the mama, because like, not even kidding you, every single being in my house, not including my husband, like has to follow me everywhere I go and be on me and be near me, including the dog.
In here.
It's like unreal. Like Kodak, our doodle puppy, his new favorite thing to do to get my attention, he will put his big old fat head on my computer, like smack on my computer, and then looks at me like, hello, pet me. Like he doesn't put it next to my computer, he puts it on my computer. Yeah. And it's kind of like telling of that moment in that picture is that everybody loves the mama. Like even the dog's paws are in the picture. If you ever notice, everybody has to be with me. Yeah. So yeah. Oh, and you just gotta embrace it sometimes when you're not too tired. Yeah. So,
it reminds me that picture, when hearing your words behind that reminds me, and I keep saying this, I keep bringing this up, and I still don't have a picture of it. I need to just make it happen, which I think speaks to the fact that we so easily put things off. But two, I have this morning time with my son, Levi, that he dubbed that we are best buddies. And basically what that means is he wakes up and goes to the couch. And actually, now that I'm even thinking out loud, when we were just on a trip last week, he stopped using straw cups. Now he's using just a big boy cup. And usually in the mornings, we would go down the stairs and go sit on the couch, and I'd have my coffee. He'd have his straw cup filled to the rim with milk, and he'd watch the iPad, and we'd snuggle and share a blanket. And he would like take his hands and make sure my feet were covered. Like sometimes he'd reach over and just rub my leg, and he called this time best buddy time. I know that's not going to last forever. And so that picture, now hearing you say that, is like, I have got to get on that. And now, like I said, I threw away all the straw cups. So the picture that I make won't even be true to that.
No, you're going out and buying a straw cup just for that.
Right? I might, yeah.
and then don't tell me, you could totally return it. No, just just go get a cheapy one from the drugstore or something, Yeah. But, no, it's true. I mean, they, even as young adults, like, and they don't always want to be photographed. I mean, there still are fleeting moments. Like, again, one of my students, her big, challenge was that all of her kids are grown or teenagers. And her son really does not like being photographed and does not want her to post any images of him on social media. And that's his right. Like he's totally entitled to that. But even the few pictures that she did get of him, and she asked him for the class, and she shared privately with us, you can see like that those moments, that like kind of awkward, funny teenage years will soon be gone, and he'll turn into this young man, that will just be somebody totally different. Sorry guys, you can hear the dogs.
Yeah. Kodak
pause it for a second.
His spotlight.
Okay. Come here, buddy. No, it's my old man. My old man is the barker.
Oh.
Yeah. In case anybody didn't know, I have 2 dogs. You might hear them in the background. I apologize. One dog loves to bark, so I'm surprised he's been quiet all this time. But But anyway, yeah, even people always say that. I don't know if you get this, Marie, in Mastery Moments, or, I'm sure on Fearless and Framed, I know this comes up, where people say, like, how do you photograph older kids?
Yes.
Or people don't want their older kids photographed. Even older children change. Like, the things they do change, like this young man won't want to sit on his iPad and be alone one day. He'll either have a family of his own, he'll want to be with his friends, he'll, I don't know, whatever the things that, drive him to do the things that he do will change. And it's worth documenting those too, even if they are older. Yes. So I think that the reason why the image is iconic is that it just shows a fleeting moment in motherhood in this stage, which a lot of people can relate to, whether they have already had grown children, they're already grown, they can look back and say that they remember those moments. Or somebody that's going through it right now can relate to it and say, oh my God, that's so my life too. Everybody's always all over me and snuggling, and I have to remember to enjoy it.
Exactly. Yeah. We're like little mirrors to each other to be able to just reframe our perspectives.
Yeah. So
I love that. All right. I am back. Sorry that episode kind of ended abruptly because of recording it so long ago. We talked about her upcoming fall workshop. So it just wasn't the case anymore. So I cut that bit out, but I do still want you to visit Stacey's website to see the Breaking the Glass Ceiling workshop, and you can get on her wait list, as well as don't forget to go to fearlessandframed.com/020 to grab today's mini mag. I am telling you, her work is nothing short of breathtaking, and I hope that it inspires you to follow your own curiosities and your personal passions and just really get in there with your personal work, because it speaks volumes. It's something that you offer that nobody else can, and Stacey is just an amazing example of that. Talk to you next time. Thank you to our podcast team for making the Intentional Documentary podcast possible. Our sound editor, Lucy Burgess, Minimag designer, Jillian Adriana, and our show notes manager, Ebony Rivera. Special thank you to our episode guests for openly sharing their insight. And thank you for listening, of course. Please hit the review tab to leave a rating. I'd love to read about your favorite episodes and what has really clicked for you. And remember, the only way to approach your photography is through your lens, your way. Photograph freely, and I'll see you next time. Visit fearlessandframed.com/intentional documentary podcast for this episode and all past episodes, show notes, and mini mags.